Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay. Good morning, or good evening, good afternoon, and good night from wherever you are viewing from the diaspora. I am Ajay the African, and we are here on the African Speaks, right down there. The African Speaks, and this was one of those moments where I'm glad I put this together. And I'll explain it to you. The African Speaks. But before we get there, I want to let you know that we're always focused on the concept of the rise of the African, our social media Pan-African movement, where we are bringing black folk together under one umbrella. Does that sound like somebody that you know? Yes, I'm picking up the banister and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to run with it. I'm going to do the best I can. So if you're watching us on Facebook, I would like for you to hit that like button, comment, share. Share this, share everything that we do to get it around. I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes too. And then if you're also watching us via YouTube, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, cling, so we get it. If people are watching you like, hey, is there a website? Yeah, go to World of Akibaland to our live stream. Everything that we do is always on our live stream. World of Akibaland is the nonprofit youth program that we are running. Please always connect, donate, support, whatever you can. Make sure you do it. Why? Because we are always in the process of producing must-see live stream. Must-see live stream. Multiple programs. We're about to start off our fall series. And well, it's Garvey month. It's August. So not only are we going to try to start a new whole fall series, but boom, I am preaching. They got Reverend Ajay, the African, preaching this Sunday. And the concept for this Sunday is called Garvey, a vessel of the Supreme God. Garvey, a vessel of the Supreme God. This will be live in our church sanctuary. So come one, come all, y'all are getting the invite. This starts our Garvey series. I'm very honored to be able to ask to do this. It means a whole lot to a brother like me to be able to speak on behalf and bring the tribute to the prophet and the saint of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So if you can make it there. Address is 944 Ralph David Abernathy here in Atlanta. Woo! Let's get it. Garvey, a vessel of the Supreme God. Yeah. This is going to be powerful. If I can't see it, I can't write it. And so I had to see what he wanted me to talk about. And of course, they asked me, they said, look, we want you to talk about the guard aspect of the Garvey movement. I said, woof, I could do that. I can definitely do that. So make sure that I'm writing it. We don't have as much graphics. We don't have a visual ministry in our community, in our live church. But if I could drop graphics behind me while I was speaking, man, it'll blow your mind. But we're going to get to that. We're going to definitely get to that. But what you're going to get is the adult version of a lot of times people watching the Keeperland Inspirational Sundays, you get the kid version of me. Yeah, the adult version is a whole different spiritual level. Yeah, for the adults. So we're going to sit down and, the kids will definitely get something from this. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, get something from this. Not only that, some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about for this is going to come out of the background in which we built a Keeperland Inspirational Sunday on. So they're going to get it. They're going to feel it. They're going to know it. They're going to connect to it. You'll get a history lesson and a spiritual vitamin simultaneously. So make sure y'all show up. Now I want y'all to let y'all know there was a point that I didn't know if I was gonna make it tonight because I face planted in the pillow. Pow! I was out because I was up working late last night, and I said to myself, I got to work late tonight, and I said so I was gonna force myself to stay up. But as soon as I logged off of work, working online, face planted, I was done. Now, one of the things that happens when you're sleeping, and I don't know if you could, I don't want to skip around. So I woke up with a epiphany. Something jumped in my spirit and said, brother, you got to talk about this subject. Brother, you got to, don't take a break. Here is the lesson. This is what you're going to teach. This is what you're going to talk about. This is what you're going to say. I jumped up, ran to the computer, and got started. Now, y'all know we've been talking about the Black Power potential. We've been talking about that for a good minute now in different areas of the Black Power potential. We talked about Black Power potential in terms of our ability to heal ourselves through with mental health. We talk about the finances of Black Power potential. We talked about our global aspect and radius of the Black Power potential, where we are as a people. We talked about so many things. Self-awareness, where we are, who we are spiritually as Black. So now I was like, okay, Black Power potential. And so when we was dealing with the issue of potential, it's the issue of energy not realized, energy that is just sitting there ready to move. It's something being placed in an area of discomfort. It's mass. Potential energy equals mass times gravity times the height or something, right? So if I sit down and I hold this pencil up, let me see. Now it's over the floor. So whatever the weight is versus the gravitational pull and the height, we'll talk about the potential energy that this is going to create if I drop it, right? We're talking about that. We're talking about that. So now, for us today, this potential energy is going to talk about and understand the mass today is going to be Black people. That's Black people, the diaspora. What? The gravitational pull is realigning our destiny to our African side. The responsibility, the height is the level of responsibility it takes. This is a do or die situation. So how much potential of power is there if we living in a do or die situation? Either we let loose the potential energy that we sitting on, or we vanish. Ain't that something? Now, again, I told you I was sleeping, and the concept of this tonight's Black Power potential concept hit me. And so the topic for tonight is called Get Your Weight Up. What, brother? Get your weight up. Yeah, we calling out to the Garveyites. The Garveyites inside you, because some of us don't even know who Garvey is. And if you do know who Garvey is, you're definitely not living according to what he called us to be. And in that space, I'm sitting there and I'm knocked out sleeping. And did you know, while you sleeping, your ancestors will come and talk to you? What? While you sleep, that is an opportunity for the Creator and your ancestors to give you downloads. Yes. I have a friend of mine, and me and her always talking about ancestral downloads. I got a download today. Yes. What was your download? What was that information that was given to you that you did nothing but receive it? Right? And so, do you know that ancestors in your sleep now? And this is the thing. It may not even be ancestors that you know. So when we start talking about ancestors, we do ancestral veneration. We're talking about mom, pop, big mama, you know what I mean? Great granddad, people that you remember, Uncle Willie. No, sometimes the people that are pouring into you are the ancestors that you don't know that are in your bloodline. And knowing, when you're dealing with us as Africans, we African descendants, if you don't want to call yourself African yet, it's up to you. African Americans, it's up to you. We're going to talk about that in a few seconds. But you don't know where these ancestors are coming from. These ancestors can been from the Caribbean. They could have been from Brazil. They could have been anywhere. You sit down, and when we're doing these ancestral ancestral, was it when you're looking for it in your bloodline, right? Yeah. And so you're trying to figure out where you come from. So you don't know where these ancestors are giving you your downloads from. But when you are sleeping, woo, can you hear them? Can you hear while you're asleep? What? When you take the time to sit down and clear your head and you're trying to figure out what's happening in your dreams, sometimes your ancestors, the wisdom of your ancestors, are being poured into your subconsciousness. Wow. And so I was knocked out sleep. And I was told, yo, you got to give this conversation. You got to bring this conversation. Now, see, sometimes when you sitting down and you sleeping, You may not think anybody's there. There's a spotlight. There's a voice. There's a presence. There's an entity. There's scenes. There's a spotlight on something. Some of us wake up and we wake up real quick, or what are we doing? We don't remember them. But in terms of this level of black power potential, we need to take time to understand these ancestral downloads and what is happening when we least expect it. So I'm sitting down and I'm knocked out. When I mean I'm knocked out, I'm out. I was out. And so with this being Garvey month in the first week of experiencing Marcus Garvey month, which is the month of August, we don't celebrate one day, we celebrate the whole month, right? I'm sitting there thinking that, hey, if I did a show, and then me and my boy Kalonji was supposed to be up here, right? But you know, we both had things to do. Like I said, I was out. I would think that when he said, well, let's talk about something about Garvey. Yeah, let's begin the conversations on Garvey, because our churches are around the country, and hopefully they might be doing this in Liberia too, should be talking about the Garvey experience for the next 4 weeks. There should not be somebody walking in or listening or tuning in to our broadcast where you're not experiencing who we call a prophet and a saint. Yes, to black people, we should be able to choose our own prophets and our own saints. And if Garvey wasn't one, I can't tell you who was, because Garvey influenced everybody. Dear man, everybody. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If that was, with that being said, he also influenced Malcolm X and Farrakhan. Malcolm X's father was a Garveyite. You can't find too many people of that era, of that 1920 era, who put together the fight toward for liberation of black people, the fight towards civil rights. Everybody was inspired by Garvey. The pool of bringing black people together, that network of black people who knew that there was something that they had to do. Now, one of the things that hit me while I was in this dream was it wasn't about Garvey that they wanted me to speak about. What? Yeah, while I was asleep, it wasn't about Garvey they asked me to speak about. They were whispering to me, and they said, it is not the focus in this conversation. It is not the focus of Garvey that we want you to focus on. I'm like, huh? Why not? It's the people. Wow. We always talk about, not always discuss the issue of, why is it that in that time, in that era, Garvey was able to manifest an organization of 1,000+ chapters and millions of people over 40 continents? Why is it that happened then, where we have more technology than we have ever before, and it's hard for us to come together? Wow, I got the answer for you. And this is not the answer maybe that you expect. And it wasn't an answer that I came up with. I literally just woke up and they said, hey, brother, can you please speak on who the people were back then and compare them to the people who live now, and then give you a charge to be something different? What? Yes. So who were the people of the Garveyite moments, right? Because even our founder, born in that same era, got to experience Marcus Garvey. Jermoja Baby Ajman said, yo, we're going to extend the movement of Garvey in the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church. We're going to move this forward. We're not going to let this down, because it was the closest time where black people were unified. But they cut off the head. And when they cut off the head, we couldn't grow one back. Not doing then. Why? Now, that's a whole different conversation, why we couldn't grow another head. And that's probably will be put in one of the sermons, right? Because we're not going to tell everything today. But what I'm going to talk about is the fact that that moment in time, the African in the American experience at that time was higher. The African in the American experience at that time of Garvey was higher. And you're like, wait a minute, brother. How could you say that when they were slaves. Exactly. Garvey's father was a slave. Garvey's father was a slave, was born a slave, and was able to see the end of slavery. So Garvey was, his father was connected to the generations of those slaves that came over, right? Came over. They were trying, because what else is you going to connect to? You're not going to sit down and try to connect to your slavery, which is some of them did, but some of them didn't. Especially when the slavery was over and they got to come together and connect and build. They were looking for a sense of self-pride. So they're African. And their American experience was a lot higher. They knew they had to connect to something other than the country in which they resided in. This is why Garvey can go from planet to nation to nation to nation and bring people together, because the nation in which they live was against the being of who they were. This came to me a few seconds ago, and how deep this came to me, because their African experience was deeper. This is why we're having a problem. We live in an American experience where our American is higher than the African. And so when we see each other, we don't see ourselves as needing to be with one another, needing to work with one another, needing to toil with one another, needing to tarry with one another. Our numbers are low. Why? Because we are further away, wow, from God than they were. Wow. Revelation. We are further away in this experience. Why? Because we can wear the dashikis, we can wear the jewelry, we can put the statues. But how many of us are focused on self-determination? And if anybody's watching this in the community who has to deal with self-determination, y'all need to watch this. Y'all can use some of this information for your sermon. Because we are not focused on self-determination. Look at the crowd. Look at the people. I had some many. I just only put that one picture up. I'm sorry, because I had more pictures. I gathered the pictures of the parade, but they packed New York. Packed New York. They came from all over to do what? Focus on self-determination. Now, when do we do that? When do we sit down and say, you know what? We need to build something for ourselves. We need to create something for ourselves. We are richer in this country than we have ever been. More freedom in this country than we ever have. Yes, you see the lynchings. You see the killings on the social media murders, right? You see that. So when are we talking about building our own we still educational centers across the country, across the globe, across the diaspora? When we talking about that? When are we talking about medical apartheid? When are we talking about building our own hospitals across the country, across the diaspora? When are we talking about that? When are we talking about building infrastructure, distribution centers where we can trade and bring back travel, where we have our own trucking company, so that we can make sure people all over getting food, and we can build our own Amazon. Who's thinking about that? We want to quote and follow Elon Musk, but we don't understand that the wisdom of who he is available to us too. They ain't serving no God different than, well, they might be, because they serving the God of money. But if you understand, wait till y'all, I'm about to talk about Sunday. We're going to keep Sunday. We're going to keep Sunday. I'm about to give y'all the conversation on Sunday. But it's a different God. It's definitely a different God. And you got to be careful which God you serve, because they were serving that God that will give them the focus of building for themselves, the dream, the desire, the hope. And because one person failed, everybody disperses. What? No, because that was the beginning of Hoover's implementation of agents in our community that have been planted there to separate us. Now, hey, real talk. We said today, because we've been 68 years of talking about self-determination, we've been said that we've been infiltrated. Yep. even us, been infiltrated. Ain't that something? And how can you tell? Anybody that's set to destroy something, watch something die, develop leadership, and don't promote the issues of self-determination, growth, expansion. It's a problem. And so we had to come up with a spiritual transformation process to help us. Let me switch. Get our weight up. Get our weight up to become more African than in our American experience. There is absolutely no way I can continue building on the world of the Keeble Land if we as a people don't focus on getting our weight up. Not only that, even within our own community. We talk the game. Some of us. But we got to get our weight up so that we could live the game. That's a whole different experience. Some of us are living it. And some of us are just here saying that, hey, I'm in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the crowd. I came to see the parade. I want to spectate. Yo, God is not just a spectator. He's a creator. He's a creator. He's a producer of life. And so those people were able to focus and build and unify and have hope to build life because their African in their American experience was greater. Wow. What? So now if I ask you the question, how much do you weigh? How much does the African in you weigh? How much weight are you walking around with? How much presence do you have? How much does the African in you weigh over the American experience where you can see what it's like, that black power potential? You can see what it's like to be unified, to grow, develop, to get your kids not to be employees, but to be owners, creators, builders, visionaries. How much do you weigh? I sit down and say every day, I'm coming to the Creator and I'm asking the Creator to get my weight up. Help me understand who you called me to be. Help me understand who you called me to. Everybody in that culture has people called to whom they belong. Why are we becoming less and less of a people where we don't have a culture, a heritage, or a history? We just here. We need to get our weight up. What is the potential power in seeing a black people become more African? We do it during Juneteenth. We do it during Black History Month. But what happens if you do it 365 days a year, seven days a week, 24 hours a day? What would our life look like if you got your weight up? Think about it. The difference between us and the crowd that Garvey spoke to was they believed in their African descent. The pride they had when they saw the melanin glow. We talk about it, but we talk about that melanin popping within our American experience. How about take that melanin popping within your American experience and live an African existence where you are building more, stronger communities? If that is not a black power potential, I can't tell you what is. Again, this hit me in my sleep. My ancestors came and said, poured. And the reason why I was glad that I created DaAfrican Speaks, so when I jump up out of my sleep with something they want me to say, I can just get up and say it. That's why I called it DaAfrican Speaks, because it's an opportunity to always voice how we feel, what we think, and what's going on in our lives, and how we can help bring each other together. That's the concept behind the rise of the African. And if we can get to that point where we are understanding the rise of the African in us, we'll know that sooner or later, we can have that Garvey experience where we become vessels of the Most High. Ooh. Yeah, I can't wait to preach that. So y'all come or y'all tune in. I'm going to do my best to live stream it, and I hope to see you there. With that being said, get your weight up. Be more African in your American experience. Build a family, build a community, build a nation, and let's take over this diaspora. One love.